Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the first edition of the Coach Hal Mummy Show. Coach Mummy, head coach of the Belhaven Blazers here in Jackson, Mississippi. And, Coach, glad to get this show going.
Yeah, I am too. I'm excited about this. Actually, we both done a lot of radio through the years, but now we get to be on camera as well as do radio. This is kind of cool.
Together.
Yeah, you and
We've
I.
known each other for a long time.
We have. We're usually hitting balls into the woods, but now we're actually in front of the camera doing a radio show. So all of you listening out there on the radio can, if you want to go to the web and get the archive version of this show, you can see how good looking William and I are.
Well, it's going to be an exciting year, Coach. We're looking forward to working with you, and we're going to have a lot of exciting guests. We'll have about 2 or 3 each show, and we'll be airing on Wednesday nights at 8:30. You'll be able to catch it on www.ez877fm.com and hear it on the web there, and it will be rebroadcast before your ball games at Belhaven each Saturday morning.
And that's exciting news for Belhaven fans, is we're going to actually be on the radio this year. And also the games will be streamed on video so everybody can catch our games. And before the games, tune into the encore of this show. I'd really like to thank Great Scott Men's Store. Wright and Steve Scott down there do a great job. They outfit me for the show here and for our games on the sidelines, and really appreciate them. Also, Paul Moak Volvo and First Commercial Bank, our friends that are bringing you this program right now.
Well, I know the Great Scott guys very well, and I know First Commercial very well, and got some great sponsors there, and encourage people that watch the show and watch the program to patronize these sponsors because they got a wonderful product. Paul Moak, of course, been in the car business for years around here, and we're very thankful that they're coming on board with us, and we look forward to growing it through the year.
Well, we do, and speaking of Great Scott, we got one of their former customers when he was in this state a long time was one of our guests today, Jackie Sherrill, former Mississippi State coach and A&M coach. We got a great interview with him coming up. He's going to talk about what he's doing now. Also, Lauren Smith, longtime voice of the Georgia Bulldogs, knows just about everything there is to know about the University of Georgia football. He's going to talk about the Bulldogs and also the Eastern Division of the SEC. And last but not least, tomorrow night on ESPN, my old friend Mike Leach kicks off against Rutgers in Washington State, and we've got a really interesting interview with Mike coming up.
Well, Coach, we're going to look forward to that. With Coach Sherrill, there's never a dull moment.
No, not at all. And Coach Sherrill's got a lot of insight in the West Division. So we got the East Division with Lauren, we got the West Division with Jackie today, and I'm just kind of anxious to get this going, and let's listen to what these guys have to say.
I am too, Coach. I know Coach Sherrill is out doing some things with A&M, and we'll find out more about that. And I know Coach Leach, he's got to be just sitting on go because he's recruited well. He's looking forward to a good year, and they finished up pretty strong last year. So we'll look forward to all of these guys, and a very interesting talk with Lauren Smith over at Georgia. Brings perspective to the east side of the SEC, and Coach Sherrill will be talking about the Western Division of the SEC, so we'll look forward to that. And when we come back, we'll go to our first interview with Coach Jackie Sherrill.
I look forward to it, William.
Hi everyone, this is Hal Mummy, head football coach at Belhaven University. Go to Great Scott Clothing and Furnishing for Gentlemen. That's where I shop. Finding the perfect look for the sidelines or the boardroom is a lot easier when I got Steve or Wright Scott and the friendly staff at Great Scott helping me out. Great clothes, furnishings, and great people. That's Great Scott Clothing, 4400 Old Canton Road in Highland Bluff. And don't forget, you can get your hair cut there by Nick, and you can get you a real barbershop shave like I did last week. That's Great Scott Clothing.
We feel strongly that area customers are best served by an institution that has its roots here, but also has an eye toward the future here. I think that's what First Commercial Bank brings to this market.
Alan Walters, President and CEO, First Commercial Bank.
Our idea is simple: to focus our efforts on the business and professional sectors, and as a result, serve them better than anyone else. If you like the sound of our hands-on approach, why not bring your business to First Commercial, where business is personal?
First Commercial Bank, member FDIC.
Welcome back to the Hal Mummy Show. And, Coach, at this point in time in the show, we're going to go to an interview with Coach Jackie Sherrill, ex-Mississippi State and ex-Texas A&M coach. And a lot of people in this part of the world know a lot about Coach Sherrill.
Great guy, one of my old foes, and I look forward to hearing this interview.
Welcome to the first segment of the Hal Mummy Show. Our first guest ever, Coach, will be a very famous guy around these parts that played at the University of Alabama for Coach Bryant over there and coached for the Washington State Cougars, the Texas A&M Aggies, the Mississippi State Bulldogs, and Pittsburgh Panthers. And, of course, that's Coach Jackie Sherrill. Coach Jackie Sherrill, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
One of my favorite people in the SEC, when I was fortunate enough to coach in it, Jackie was kind of a mentor to me. He would call me up and tell me, all sorts of things I needed to do, and always a great source of fun and energy. And anyway, Jackie, we're just so happy you're with us, and we kind of want to know about this tailgating deal you're doing for the Aggies now.
What's called Coach's Cabana. We did the Cotton Bowl, Texas A&M in Oklahoma 2 years ago now, and basically what it is you as a coach of one of the former schools, and they have today the Oklahoma State, Texas A&M, LSU, Nebraska, Arkansas. A coach in a relaxed atmosphere talking with a host, but you're talking about things that you will not get from a play-by-play or a analyst, because you're talking about the history of the school, the players, former players, and things. And it must resonated because ESPN did it last year with coaches and players at the national championship game. So, the format's good, the shows are good. The good thing, everybody's moving to second screen anyway, where you have your iPad or iPhone. And what this does is give you the ability to ask questions as the game's going on and get the answers. You get the answers from a coach that has either coached there or played there.
I see. Will you have some of your ex-players come along and be guests on that show with you? How will that kind of work?
Yes, you'll have former players, you'll have former coaches. It's called Coach's Cabana because that's where Barry does his, but Switzer for Oklahoma. He does it in his backyard, and they're out there relaxed, and he has an awful lot of former players that come by. He only lives a block from the stadium, so at OU, so, they come by and show back up every week.
Well, I know if you're fortunate enough to get Bucky Richardson and Coach Slocum to come by, there'll be plenty of conversation to go on.
Oh, yes. And the good thing is, the plans are this year. We did the Cotton Bowl from Jerry's World, and, the plans for A&M this year on shows, it would be to go to Baton Rouge and do it with 4K that's actually doing LSU, and then also go to the Cotton Bowl with Dallas doing it, Jerry's World, where Arkansas, and do it together with Steiner that's actually doing the Arkansas game. And they feel that when you do that it gives a much stronger show because you get both sides at the same time.
Well, are they doing that for all of the schools in the SEC, or is it just a select few?
No, it's really it's a company that Barry started with Mike and Henry. Eventually will work up probably to 40 schools, and when it works up to 40 schools, then that ESPN will take it over or buy it because of the additional programming. Now, Fox Southwest, Comcast, Fox Southwest, they all are carrying it.
Well, I know you're probably looking forward when talk about former players coming on the show. You're probably looking for that Mississippi State A&M matchup right there. That's going to be a fun thing for you, Jackie.
Yes. And you look at one team that, defensively is their strong suit, and you got to look at the other team, and offense was able to see both of them. A&M probably has 3 guys that could start for Mississippi State defensively.
Wow.
But offensively, they have 11 that could start for.
Yeah. So you like obviously A&M. What's the A&M quarterback situation looking like with the departure of Johnny Manziel? Everybody's kind of wondering about how that's going to look.
Kenny Hill is a kid that has both. He can move and he also can throw. He's your dual quarterback. He was the Gatorade Player of the Year out of high school. He won 2 state championships. Has played under the pressure and also has played, and he's really good looking. I liked him in team yesterday. He threw the ball very well, but he's got a lot of tools around him. He may have the best receiver I've seen in a long time. A little kid he's not little, but New Orleans.
Okay.
And he will have a chance to be freshman of the year of college football. He return specialist, receiver, but if he touches the ball, it's very difficult to put your hands on it. And then they have a tight end, came out of Memphis, Tennessee, signed him originally, a kid named Clear, and left Tennessee, but came out of junior college, and he's like 6'6", 285, 290, but he can play H, he can play everywhere. I mean, it's amazing what kind of athlete he is. And then Ricky Seals-Jones coming out of Sealy, and he's Dickerson's cousin or nephew.
Okay. Yeah.
And the genes went down because he is one of those other 6'4", 6'5" kids, 240-pound receiver that can really run. And
Wow.
their offensive line, they have a tackle that the pro scouts say that he's better than the two they had previously that were the top 10 picks.
Well, yeah,
They were pretty good too.
yeah, they had a couple of guys picked in the first round there. What do you think about them on defense?
Well, one thing, when you look at them defensively, they're awful young. They probably only had 3 players that started last year that actually had much playing time, but they're a lot better. Last year they didn't have any depth up front. We're not able to rotate guys, so the big guys inside in the fourth quarter just looked. They just ran out of gas, and they have a chance to play 2 fronts. What's really interesting is their 2 best players are rush ends. Of course, they'll put them in there together. But one's a sophomore, 6'6", 260, and the other one's Miles Garrett, the freshman out of Arlington, Texas, 6'5", 260. And the number one tackle that they have that will be a definitely first round, maybe in the first 5 picks. When they lined him up against him the first time,
yes,
Garrett made him look like he was a freshman. I mean, Garrett's one that comes along, and he'll have an immediate impact. And they're a lot faster. Play as a team early. That's a question. They got to go to South Carolina Thursday night. They're going to play a team that can run the football. Davis is an outstanding runner. So, and 4 out of 5 offensive linemen are returning. So they're going to get a test real quickly how good they are or not good. But the good thing is they're much faster. They have more depth. Now, whether they get ready to play and can play early. And South Carolina, Al, as you know, is not an easy place to go play.
No, you get down, particularly in that end zone down there where they got all those folks sitting. It's a loud. It's as loud a place as there is in the SEC. That's for sure.
Did they change their scheme up any this year, or are they pretty much doing the same thing just with maybe better players?
Offensively, they'll probably run the football rather than letting the ball in his hands. But the running back are really, really talented. Goes from being small, but 5'8", 200 quickness, and then they have one 6 foot 200, but the big one is 235 running back. But he also has the speed to go to the house anytime. So, offensively, personnel-wise, they're as good as anybody in the league. When you throw in their offensive line, I think they are as good as Alabama. And the quarterback could be the biggest question.
Right, and he got a little playing time last year, so.
Yes, he did.
That date for you state fans out there is October the 4th when the Aggies play over in Starkville. And
yes.
Coach will probably have a real homecoming there at the Cabana. Coach, just to give us what's your take on the West Division?
Well, you still got the top 3, Alabama, LSU, Auburn,
right?
Because they all have great talent.
Yeah.
When you look, you get a feel when you look and see the players that are all preseason, and then when you have. And they're dominated by Alabama, Auburn, and LSU.
Yeah.
So those 3, and as you know, LSU, even though they lost a lot, the biggest question is the quarterback. But even by losing, they always have more talent speed-wise than anybody else.
I used to go over and try to get their second team receivers to transfer to Kentucky. They were kind of standing over there not doing anything, you know. But they're great looking guys. They always have been.
Have you had a chance to see the freshman running back from LSU that they're so high on down there out of New Orleans?
I saw some tape, practice tape. There's no question he's a man.
He's a real deal, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, but they're saying that his speed, his balance, his toughness, they think he's in the Herschel Walker,
Oh wow,
Bo Jackson category.
wow, that'll be interesting. That's gonna make it. Who's the dark horse in your mind, Jackie, in the West?
Probably Mississippi State.
Okay. Tell us why there.
And the reason I say that, Hal, is offensively they're okay, but they're not great. And if they don't give it away,
Right.
defensively they're as good as anybody in the league. Their front seven is as good as anybody. Their secondary is not first round draft picks, but their secondary is very athletic.
Yeah.
And they have so many athletic players that their kicking game is going to be really good because they have fast kids that are athletes on covering, and return teams. The question they have is their kickers and punters. Are they going to be consistent?
Right.
And Dat is a very good quarterback. Lewis, the little receiver, is one that would do extremely well in your offense because he's an open field player.
That's Lewis.
It comes down to their offensive line. If they had A&M's offensive line, then you could probably reach out there and say they would be a fight, but they'll be 3-0 or should be.
Yeah.
Then they get LSU, and at Baton Rouge, then at home they'll get A&M and Auburn.
Right.
So if they win two of those, then they'll end up being 9+. One that could end up being 8, and if they don't win any of them, then they're going to struggle. That's what's so interesting about the South Carolina A&M matchup. If A&M jumps out there and wins, then they've got a chance. Or if they, fight them all the way down to the end, they have a chance to end up with a really good football team.
Yeah.
If they go in and lay it around and get embarrassed, then it'll be a hard year for them.
Well, there's nothing like grabbing the momentum right out of the gate, right?
Well, I mean, the confidence, but the young kids that have it, they have an awful lot of young kids. And when you go to South Carolina, people talk about LSU, but South Carolina is probably on the par with LSU.
Yeah, you're talking about in terms of the stadium to play for the visiting team. I agree with that. I think that's true. And Coach Spurrier's got them playing now. I mean, you're right, Jackie. I think that's going to be a really tough chore for the Aggies here.
When Coach Holtz was up there, they were went 0-22. I think. I don't think they won a game for 2 years, and they were still sold out.
Yeah, they were. We played there one time against them. It was rough.
Amazing. They're 18-0 the last 18 games.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. That's a big one. Well, look, Coach, I really appreciate you being on the show. Before we let you go, we got to plug a big event here in Mississippi for you.
Yeah, it looks like on September the 9th, the Mississippi Sports Hall of Fame is going to have a roast for Coach Sherrill, and you're going to have some of your former players come, and they're going to talk good about you.
I doubt it, but that's okay because I get the microphone is mine. I get that last.
There you
get the last word's the best, right?
Yeah.
Well, I look forward to being at that and seeing you there, Coach.
It probably will be a lot of stories that people have not heard.
Coach, before we let you go, I had one question I wanted to ask you regarding your time coaching against Coach Mummy. Tell me a little bit about what that was like in the preparation. And fourth down didn't always mean punt time, did it?
No, I hated him. we playing in Lexington, and we've got the quarterback scrambling, and he ran all over the field. I bet he ran 40 yards, and we're getting ready he throws the ball all the way across the field. Now that's 53 yards. Down the field, 20 yards to the corner of the end zone, and beat us.
Yeah, that
count. And he was being sacked as he threw it. He may have known that the receiver should have been there, but he didn't see the receiver.
No, that was one of the greatest plays I've ever. Couch made that play got him invited to the Heisman ceremony. That was a great play. It was not all coaching on that, I promise you. It was just great player. Two great players, him and Yeast. But we were lucky to win that night. It was the only time I ever beat you too. So
that's when I changed my philosophy in the kicking game, because I always was strictly going through the charts, and early in the game I kept going for two.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't have. I should have just kicked it, and if I'd kicked the extra points, we wouldn't have been in that situation.
It was a close game, I remember. But Jackie, we look forward to seeing you over here for the Hall of Fame roast, and really look forward to listening to you on the Cabana before the A&M games, and have great success with that this year.
And hope you'll come back.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Anytime.
Thank you.
Thank you,
much,
Coach.
Bye-bye. Hi, everyone. This is Hal Mummy, head football coach at Belhaven University. Go to Great Scott Clothing and Furnishing for Gentlemen. That's where I shop. Finding the perfect look for the sidelines or the boardroom is a lot easier when I got Steve or Wright Scott and the friendly staff at Great Scott helping me out. Great clothes, furnishings, and great people. That's Great Scott Clothing, 4400 Old Canton Road in Highland Bluff. And don't forget, you can get your hair cut there by Nick, and you can get your real barbershop shave like I did last week. That's Great Scott Clothing.
We feel strongly that area customers are best served by an institution that has its roots here, but also has an eye toward the future here. I think that's what First Commercial Bank brings to this market.
Alan Walters, President and CEO of First Commercial Bank.
Our idea is simple: to focus our efforts on the business and professional sectors, and as a result, serve them better than anyone else. If you like the sound of our hands-on approach, why not bring your business to First Commercial, where business is personal?
First Commercial Bank, member FDIC.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. At this point in time, we're going to go to an interview with somebody that Coach Mummy knows very well, Lauren Smith, longtime announcer for the Georgia Bulldogs.
Nobody knows more about the Georgia Bulldogs or the eastern part of the SEC than Lauren Smith. He's spent years, decades doing it. Really entertaining guy. Really love being around him. He's the author of many books down there, and just a great figure and a legendary figure in Georgia athletics. So let's hear from Lauren.
Welcome back to the Hal Mummy Show, and we're joined by longtime Georgia Bulldog announcer Lauren Smith. Lauren, we appreciate you joining us today for the first segment of the Hal Mummy Show.
Well, delighted to have any conversation with Hal Mummy. He not only was a great coach, he's a great American.
He is a great American. I tell you what, he's a dear friend of mine, and I've known him for several years, and we've gotten to be. Actually, had my son played for him. But we wanted to visit with you a little bit about what's going on over in Athens these days. I know that they're pretty high on their season. Can you give us a little bit of background of what's going on going into the first game with Clemson?
Well, I think, and Hal, having been a coach all his life, would probably have the best insight. You don't know about kids today. I remember going on the field last year before the SEC playoff game with Auburn and Missouri to see my old friend Rodney Garner, and I said, "Well, Rodney, you got any good feels, good vibes?" He said, "Well, this day and age, you don't know who's going to show up, and when they show up, you don't know who's going to play." So I think that's a little bit of a treatise on the difference in the makeup of kids today. I think they all still want to win, but it's a different game now, not so much the game itself. It's always be fundamentals, who does the best job, I think, blocking and tackling. But you have a different mindset. But Georgia is like every school, major college. We've got some players, and I think you have to ask, do we have enough, even if we don't have any crippling injuries, to compete with the people you've got to compete with to get to the playoffs and then to advance in the playoffs? I'm finding that kids today are amazingly good. They come out of high school well-trained, they're well-coached, And it's not unusual to see a freshman get in and play, including positions like the defensive backfield, which has got to be the toughest position, I would think, for a kid to come and break in as a freshman. But some do. So you've got good players, but you're never going to win unless you win a championship, that is, unless you win the close games or unless you get the bonding that it takes to play well when you're having an off day.
That team chemistry is everything, isn't it, Lauren?
I think so, and all the great teams have it. I think they all start out thinking they've got it, but you have to work to get it, and then if you get it going, you got to maintain. But sometimes there are things out of your control, one of which would be the injury situation.
No doubt.
Florida got everybody hurt last year. We did too. So you never know about that. You can't predict those kinds of things. But I think that's why Saban has done such a good job at Alabama. When he reloads, he's got a little more firepower than we do.
Well, I think one of the things, Lauren, I think Coach Rick's kind of a master at that, of bonding teams. He's a great person, and I think that comes across in the way his teams play. And what do you? I know y'all have some young players this year. Who are some of the guys we need to be looking at, and who are some of the guys that need to step up?
Well, of course, our young quarterback, Hudson Mason, literally waited in the wings for 4 years. In fact, he was in the same class as Aaron Murray and chose to sit out the whole year in 2012. So he would have a year of eligibility remaining when Aaron graduated. So he is here for his senior year, but we were not able to get off the field on defense last year to the extent that we could get him into the game and let him get a little game action, but then he tore up his knee. He was trying to he was running down the field. We didn't run Murray any in 2012 to speak of because he was the only quarterback we had. But last year they utilized him to run, and it was very effective. But against Kentucky, he's down the field open and just did a little juke, and there came an ACL. Those kinds of things can happen. So Hudson Mason went in, finished the Kentucky game, did really well. We were down 21-0 against Georgia Tech. He brought us back, won in overtime. And on a rainy, messy day in the Gator Bowl, had us at the goal line on a drop pass, kept us from beating Nebraska. So I think based on his performance in a limited period of time, we have to feel good about him. He can throw the ball reasonably well, and he's really smart. He's got good height, and we think he can do the job. Now, he's got to prove it. A quarterback, you got to hang a question mark on his back until he does it. But we think this kid can do it. Then we've got a really good stable of running backs. Our number one tailback, Todd Gurley, a lot of people think he ought to be a candidate for the Heisman Trophy. And if he runs like he's was able to do as a freshman, he got hurt a little bit last year, nagging injuries, and just slowed him down all season. Now he's a load. He can really carry the mail. And behind him, have Keith Marshall. Then we signed the kid out of Florida, McHale, and then Nick Chubb is another running back. So we got 4 good running backs. Actually, a fifth is a young kid from Augusta, Georgia, named Brendan Douglas, who got in a little bit last year. He's sort of a change of pace guy, not very big, but he's able to get some yards. So if our offensive line has any success, we should, you would think, be able to run the ball.
Let's flip over the other side here, Lauren. What about on the defensive side? You mentioned getting off the field. Are we going to be able to do that over there in Athens this year?
Well, I think we should be able to do something better because we sure didn't succeed last year very well, and that's unfortunate. We had to outscore everybody. And that's frustrating. You average 38 points a game and lose 5. 8-5 is not too good with the personnel performing as the way it did on offense. But Jeremy Pruitt is a new defensive coordinator coming here from Florida State and has a good reputation, and he no-nonsense kind of guy. So a couple of kids who were starters last year didn't like his system didn't like the way he did things, so he invited them to hit the road. They have.
So, Lauren, are they doing defensively? They're more of a pressure team now. Is that what they're moving to, or?
I would say that.
Yeah, that's what that's kind of the trend with the offenses going the way they are. I tell our guys all the time, I'd rather drive a cab in New Orleans have to be a defense coordinator. It's just a thankless job, and we created offense, and the rules are stacked against them.
I didn't know you'd ever met a defensive coordinator.
Well, I try to. I usually they don't want me around, so I try to stay out of their offices as much as I can. But it's not really a lot of fun doing their job. They're genuinely unhappy people most of the time. So, but I think if they're moving to a pressure type style, I think that's important because nowadays, like you were saying, kids come out of high school so well rehearsed and so well coached, particularly on the offensive side of the ball, that it's really hard to get people off the field if you don't do something that can create turnovers or create mistakes.
Lauren, I had one question. When you start talking about Georgia defense generally, they've got them chock-a-blocked in the defensive line over there. Always got great tackles, a lot of them in the NFL. Talk about that position this year.
Well, I think the defensive line will be creditable, and Pruitt likes them. By the way, I asked Pruitt, did he like he agreed with the notion that the rules favor the offense? He said, I don't agree with that and don't care.
Good for him.
I think his attitude is the rules are what they are. Don't worry about it. Let's just go play. And when I asked him, I said, what kind of kid do you look for in a defensive back? He says, I want one who wants quarterback to throw it right at him every snap.
There you go.
I think what he's done is he's just gotten totally out of the negative and gotten on to the positive, and as a result, I think we're going to be a more efficient defense. You would certainly think so based on what we have seen in the spring and what we've seen in the fall. I mean, he really is a grinder and a guy who feels like that, sort of like it reminds me of Kirk Russell, a great defensive coach who felt like the defense is reaction and recognition and wanting to play defense. You want to excel.
Right. He doesn't get up in there and butt heads with them before they go on the field, does he?
No, he doesn't have that style about him. That was unusual. That really was a motivating thing for our defensive players.
Irk was a treat.
Well, when you're on the opposite sideline and you're watching that go on, and then he's got blood running down his head, I promise you, it gets your attention.
He was.
It sure does, William.
He was a great coach, a great guy. I enjoyed getting to know him when I was down there in Georgia. Well, let's talk about what do you see on the east side there? Who's kind of in the lead over there, and who's the dark horse? What do you think, Lauren? You've been watching this a long time.
Well, I don't know how about Missouri. They had a good year last year. Missouri's had some good teams. They haven't had much in the way of a championship in a while. And you don't know how well the kids at Tennessee has recruited will play. But Tennessee's recruited some pretty good players in the last couple of classes because they're really basically selling job opportunity. You come here, you can play.
Right.
So I think Tennessee might be a little bit of a, I wouldn't say wild card. I'd say Florida's the one that you've got to worry about being a wild card because they got everybody hurt last year, and they always are going to have players at Florida.
No doubt.
So I think that how most of the critics of Florida are saying that the quarterback situation is not good, and they got caught without a running back, and just so many people hurt. So the class of the league, everybody's gonna look at Spurrier in South Carolina. They really the class of the division. South Carolina is really good. Now the East, I don't think is as strong as the West right now, but there was a time about 5 years ago, the East probably had a little better situation, but it flip-flops.
No doubt. How do you think, Lauren, talking about getting back to Missouri a little bit, they've had an abnormal amount of off-the-field issues this year, just one over the weekend again, and that's got to be taking its toll up there.
Well, the only thing I can say is that everybody's got problems. We do recruit kids who, in many cases, have tough backgrounds.
Right.
And so that situation is a fact of life, and it's just hard. And I think sometimes it's like injuries. Off the field problems can come in bunches, just like injuries. So I don't know, but I do know that incidences do bother administrations. It does bother your alumni, and that causes the coaches to feel pressure. So I don't know how you handle it, but I do think that if you've got a lot of off-the-field incidences, it's likely to affect your team.
Well, I don't think there's any question about that, and they just it just seems to be heaped on them, and we'll see how that plays out the rest of the year. But we're going to have to wrap it up. Lauren, we appreciate you joining us on Coach Mummy's show today, and I hope you'll come back and visit with us.
Well, that's great. What do I get? A set of golf clubs, or
Yeah,
or a new SUV?
We're gonna agree to do your show again, which and we also are gonna pump up your books. We're gonna put those. So that now is the tailgating recipe book still the bestseller there?
It has just come out. It was
what I
released
thought.
today.
Okay.
Hal, and it'll be, you can order it today, Amazon, or you can just plug in my name. How do you like my name? Spread Formation.
There you go. Well, so now tell everybody the name of that book, because I know your better half there probably wrote most of it. So
that's right.
But tell everybody the name of it, and obviously we can get it on Amazon.
Spread Formation by Whitman Publishing Company, and you can go online, just Google Spread Formation, and the information will come up. But it'll be in bookstores, including Walmart, next week.
All right.
And amongst your other books, I was noticing on your bio, you wrote one with Louis Grizzard as well.
Oh, that was a great book. I read that one. That's Lauren. Lauren is a great guy to listen to, particularly if you want to know about the SEC and the Bulldogs. He knows more about than anybody out there. But I
enjoyed your book, Hal. I thought that was good. Stretch the Cornfield.
Thank you.
That was terrific.
Well, Lauren, we're going to have you back on, but I really appreciate you doing this, and it's a good kickoff time here. It's just about ready to play for everybody. So thank you so much for being on the show.
Great. Well, y'all have a great fall.
You too, Lauren. Thanks for joining us.
Okay, William.
Thank you. Again, that was Lauren Smith, and we'll return in a moment.
Hi, everyone. This is Hal Mummy, head football coach at Belhaven University. Go to Great Scott Clothing and Furnishing for Gentlemen. That's where I shop. Finding the perfect look for the sidelines or the boardroom is a lot easier when I got Steve or Wright Scott and the friendly staff at Great Scott helping me out. Great clothes, furnishings, and great people. That's Great Scott Clothing, 4400 Old Canton Road in Highland Bluff. And don't forget, you can get your hair cut there by Nick, and you can get your real barbershop shave like I did last week. That's Great Scott Clothing. Scott.
We feel strongly that area customers are best served by an institution that has its roots here, but also has an eye toward the future here. I think that's what First Commercial Bank brings to this market.
Alan Walters, President and CEO, First Commercial Bank.
Our idea is simple: to focus our efforts on the business and professional sectors, and as a result, serve them better than anyone else. If you like the sound of our hands-on approach, why not bring your business to First Commercial, where business is personal?
First Commercial Bank, member FDIC.
Welcome back to the program, everybody. Coach, we're going on an interview right now with somebody that's near and dear to you, that is almost like a little brother to you in lots of ways, but a contemporary and somebody that you've crafted your work with, should we say.
Well, Mike Leach is a great football coach, and everybody watches game tomorrow night. He's on ESPN playing Rutgers, and they're opening. He's got a third-year quarterback this year in Connor Holiday, and we had a really interesting interview with Mike, and covered a lot of ground, as you usually do, anybody that knows Mike, but really some great facilities in the background too. If you're tuned in on the internet, you can see the pictures. So anyway, great interview here with Mike Leach. Let's take a listen.
Okay.
Got a great guest to kick off the Hal Mummy Show here in Mississippi and on the World Wide Web. One of my dear friends and one of the greatest football minds in the history of the game is Coach Mike Leach at Washington State University, and he is getting ready for their big game, one of the first 2 games in college football coming up on Thursday night. Mike, welcome to the show. Thanks for doing this.
Oh, I appreciate your having me on.
Let's talk a little bit about your team first. I know you got a third-year quarterback in Connor Holliday. You got to be excited about that.
Well, he does a really good job. He's really an explosive guy. He's gotten better and better as time has gone on, and part of it is, he's got some of the same faces around him. He's gotten to work with those receivers for a couple of years, and so their timing's better. And of course, we got, at our place we got a lot of young guys, but he's done a really good job as far as leading them and off season, that type of thing, as far as getting everybody to work together.
Now, this is your third season there, and of course last year you got them to the first bowl game in a really long time, and a great accomplishment for the second season. And what's kind of the goal for this year? Where do you see this team this year?
Really just win one game a week, because otherwise you're keeping track of a whole bunch of things that are just kind of stray items. I mean, we just need to focus on our work at hand and get better each day and see where it takes us. But we've done a pretty good job of that, and I've been proud of them in camp as far as being able to just focus on that. And, and the better we've gotten at that, the more we've improved.
Now, speaking of camp, I know you did a little Junction Boys action this year, so tell us about that.
Well, we go to Lewiston, Idaho. There's a which is about 40 miles from here. And Lewiston, Idaho is they're right next to the Snake River. And we go to Lewis and Clark College, where we can have everybody together at the dorms, and we room all the guys together that don't have much in common. Whatever's got the most contrasting background. Something like a senior offensive lineman from the country you might have, with a freshman corner from the city type of thing, and then to help mix the team so everybody gets to know one another. And then we work out at Sacagawea Middle School, which is a junior high school. We take yellow school buses to and from, because that's how everybody all started playing football, and so we try to reinforce that, how important is it to you. And then also, we get a lot of great work done, and our players are pretty excited about it, and they enjoy it every year. And I feel like it's helped us a lot, just as far as everybody being in one place together and just focusing on us and what we need to do.
We talked about Connor a little bit, but talk about some of the other strong points of your team, you think.
Well, we got most of our receivers back, and they've been in it for a year for the most part. We're a little faster than we've been. Offensive line, we're young, but we're bigger and more athletic than we have been. And then I think our defensive line, last year we played the whole year with 5 guys, and this year we're going to be able to play with 10 without much of a drop-off. It's probably as deep of a defensive line group as I've ever had. And then, of course, our secondary will be real young. We're fast, we're quick and athletic, but we're pretty young.
We're getting pretty close to kickoff with Rutgers. How do you see that matchup?
They're just sort of physical, nasty group, and we just have to go out there and play good. I think they do a lot of good things. And of course, we don't play teams from out there very much, but we're excited about the chance to play them. We played in Seattle on Thursday, and they seem physical. They seem kind of pretty blue-collarish. And then the other thing with Rutgers, they always have about 3 guys a year that get drafted in the first day, and then fill in with other guys around them. So we'll see how they are.
Yeah, I know. We played them last year at SMU, and I remember
the one word you keep using is physical, and they definitely were that. They had a lot of athletes in the defensive line, the defensive front. Did they get a transfer quarterback? I can't remember. I was thinking that they did.
I don't know either. I mean, they want you to run right at them, and they want you to slam into a bunch of stuff, and then offensively, of course, Ralph Region's running the offense. Offense has always been pretty good. They've always, kind of played hard and played tough, and they're going to run it a little more than they throw it probably. But their whole thing is going to see if they can move you around and kind of draw on the line and trade blows, draw a line in the sand and trade blows. So we'll see how all that goes. But that's kind of how I see them, and then hopefully we can get in a rhythm and move the ball.
I think you guys will move the ball well. Friedgen is kind of the wild card now because he wasn't with them last year, and he's going to be a guy that a very good offensive coach, and they should improve right there. Last year they were pretty stoic on offense. At SMU we had a big day on them. We had 800 yards, but I look for you guys to do pretty well in that respect. Aren't you playing in Seattle?
Yeah, we play them in Seattle there at the Seahawks Stadium. It's fun for our guys to go to an NFL stadium. Plus, we have an awful lot of Washington State fans there in Seattle. By NFL standards, it's supposed to be the loudest stadium. It kind of is. It's kind of designed for it, and it's in a pretty scenic setting. I mean, obviously, I'd rather play here in Pullman, but it's sort of a fun place to play, and so we're teeing it off up there.
For the people out here in the South that don't really understand how far you are from Seattle, what's the travel time to Seattle for y'all?
About 4.5 hours. We'll fly, but it's about 4.5 hours. And then the biggest thing is because we're not a huge state, but there's an awful lot of contrast in the state. If you go to the west side, which would be Seattle, it's really rainy, kind of a rainforest, overcast skies. And then you get to the central part of the state, and you'll hit kind of deserty sagebrush, but there's some water that goes through there, rivers and lakes. And then you hit them into the south, there's kind of this wine country area. Washington grows the second most, produces the second most amount of wine in the nation after California. And then you get to where we're at, the eastern part of the state, and we're kind of in the foothills of the Rockies. So it's kind of more mountain, more alpine, but not ridiculously high elevation. So it's very, very scenic, clear skies, and all kinds of mountains in the background.
Well, while we're having this interview, we are flashing, and talking about your part of the state, we're flashing up on the screen here for all our fans to see y'all's new facility, which I know when I was out there a few years ago, y'all were planning that, and I just thought it was really going to be fabulous. And why don't you talk us through that a little bit, and that's really got to help recruiting.
Well, I've been in the middle of facilities getting built 3 times, and these are the biggest and the best by a lot. We have the best facilities in the Pac-12, which currently everybody thinks I'm lying until they come up here and see them. Our athletic director, Bill Moose, he was at Oregon and built those facilities, which were kind of the gold standard in the Pac-12 for a while, and then but this is Bill's alma mater, and so he's at Washington State and hired me, and these facilities are even better. They're right in the middle of campus, so logistically we got very lucky there. We didn't have to put them way out on the edge of campus. They're right in the middle of campus, and so a guy comes to our place. He stays in the dorm, which that dorm was built a year and a half ago. He walks across the street, and there's the academic center. Then he walks across the sidewalk, and there's the locker room, the equipment room, the weight room, the training room, the food, the training table, which looks out over the stadium, the coaches' offices, the meeting rooms, and then the practice field adjacent to that is the library. And then he goes to Student Union, which is right up 2 flights of stairs, and all the classes are behind that. So you'd really have to work hard to walk over a mile to go to all your classes. And then, so it's, I mean, it's a great setup. And then the other thing is and the pictures look impressive and all that sort of thing. But where these facilities turned out even better than I expected them to is they're huge. I mean, our locker room is the biggest locker room I've ever been in.
Wow.
Our weight room is the biggest weight room I've ever been in. Our weight room's 14,000 square feet, and currently, and they're obviously planning to market more of them. So we're not going to be the only ones with them, but we have the biggest seats in our team meeting room that you can buy. I mean,
so your big guys are comfortable when you're trying to teach them. That's great.
Oh, there's no question. I look like I'm in a high chair if I sit in them. But our big guys are, I mean, they they look like normal people sitting in that thing. And the thing is so they're these leather seats, and of course these guys, like I say, they're not planning to install them just in our place, but currently the biggest seats are ours, and we just happen to get them first.
When I was out there a few years ago and y'all were planning all that, and I just looking at the plans, it was just unbelievable. And of course, people can see up here on the screen how big the is it 4 stories? Is that right, in the end zone?
5 stories.
5 stories. Okay. Yeah.
5 stories. So the first floor is the locker room and the equipment room. The second story is all weight room. Each story is 14,000 square feet. Then the next story is training room, and then Hall of Fame. And then the next story is meeting rooms and training table. And then the next story is coaches' offices. You
have over 70,000 square feet, is that right? If my math is correct.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. And yeah, I would imagine people don't believe you at first when you say that, but having just seen the pictures of it now and the plans when I was out there a few years ago, you could tell that Bill Moose has really helped you out there and knows what he's doing when it comes to the Pac-12 and how to attract great coaches like yourself, plus some great players to help you get the job done. How's the fan base and that? How's it been over the last couple of years, and what do you kind of expect for this year?
Well, we got a bunch of games sold out. We have great fans. They're very enthusiastic, very loyal, and in one way that's kind of manifest is every week during college game day, there's always a Cougar flag in the back.
Yeah, everybody knows that. Yeah.
Well, it's a tradition that's been going on and for a while, and so what they do is there's an alumni wherever they have college game day, and they'll stake it out, at like 4 a.m. or some deal like that, and there's always a Cougar flag. I mean, there's a Cougar flag. There's a Cougar flag at every college game day, and the tradition's called Wave the Flag, and you at the Masters, there's a Cougar flag in the background. At the World Cup, there's a Cougar flag in the background, and we have an incredible logo that goes way back. When I first got here, I thought it was a relatively new logo, which it's not. It goes way back.
Okay.
And so anyway, any sporting event of significance, there's a Cougar flag in the background, and if there's not, then the event wasn't worth watching to begin with.
Well, y'all keep playing like you know how to play, and they're going to be having game day in Pullman here shortly, so we'll have lots of Cougar flags on that. I can't let you get out of here without talking about your other side occupation right here, which is author. So tell us about the latest book. Anybody that's known you for a long time knows that you had a great passion about this guy, so why don't we talk about that for a little bit?
Well, in May, we published a book on Geronimo. Buddy Levy and I wrote a book on Geronimo. It's called Geronimo Leadership Strategies of an American Warrior. And Simon & Schuster published it. It's in bookstores and on Amazon, and it seems to be doing really well. And it was a project I've been excited about because I've been excited about Geronimo for years. And, really, you're talking about probably one of the anyway, just an impressive group of people. A lot of lessons and just fascinating to study. I mean, yeah, because nothing with the Apaches was by accident. I mean, they worked for it, they trained for it, and they were never surprised when they would do such incredible things like travel 60 miles a day with women and children, that type of thing. And so then, but the opportunity to do the book was exciting, and then, and a lot of times you get in these things, and you kind of have to force it, and you have to work through it. And this thing kind of wrote itself, and part of it, and Buddy Levy, people might have seen him. He's one of the hosts of the show History Decoded on the History Channel. But
Right.
As we did this book, though, it went really fast as far as writing. It went really fast.
Well, you were already a walking encyclopedia about Geronimo. You didn't have to do a lot of research, I wouldn't think, other than
we found some stuff out, but one of the most interesting things we found out was how they would duck hunt. I wasn't aware that they duck hunted.
Really?
But what they used to do is they would, there'd be a pond that ducks would land in, and they would throw out kind of these big southwestern looking gourds, just gourds, dried up gourds. They'd throw them out on the pond. And so the ducks would get used to feeding and swimming around in the pond with the gourds out there. And then, and once they got used to that, then the Apaches would cut a hole in the bottom of the gourd and cut some eye holes and stick it over their head like a helmet. And then they'd walk out. Then they'd walk out there in the pond. The duck would be swimming by, and he'd think there's just a gourd like he sees every day. And then they'd reach up under the duck and grab his legs and pull him underwater and wring his neck. And that's how they'd hunt ducks.
Wow, that's unbelievable. That sounds like a great book. I know everybody's going to want to share it with you, and appreciate you writing it. And after all the years of coaching with you, and all of our football players that listen to that, they always got a history lesson on Geronimo when they walked in your office. So I'm glad it's in writing now. But I'll tell you what, thanks so much for doing this, Mike, and we really wish you a lot of luck against Rutgers coming up here real quick. So best of luck for the season, and thanks for being one of our first guests on the show here.
Well, I appreciate it. Good luck this season to you.
All right. Thanks, Michael.
All right, thanks.
Yep.
We feel strongly that area customers are best served by an institution that has its roots here, but also has an eye toward the future here. I think that's what First Commercial Bank brings to this market.
Alan Walters, President and CEO, First Commercial Bank.
Our idea is simple: to focus our efforts on the business and professional sectors, and as a result, serve them better than anyone else. If you like the sound of our hands-on approach, why not bring your business to First Commercial, where business is personal?
First Commercial Bank, member FDIC.
Well, Coach, that's going to wrap it up for edition 1 of the Hal Mummy Show, and I hope everybody enjoyed the interviews. I know I did.
Well, I did too, and for the first show, I think we did pretty good. You and I didn't mess it up too bad. So, fortunately, we had great guests. It's like having great players. They make you look better as a coach. But anyway, I'd really like to thank our sponsors, Paul Moak Volvo, First Commercial Bank, and of course, Great Scott Clothing that kind of suits us out here for this deal. Tune in next week, and of course, if you miss any of the shows, you can go to the internet and pick up the archive version of it. Also, this show will be an encore version before the Belhaven game this Saturday afternoon. Is
big game coming up.
Big game with in Tyler, Texas, against Texas College. So look forward to next week's show. We got some great guests, and we'll see you then.
Want to welcome everybody back next week, 8:30, same time, same station, for the Hal Mummy Show.
When C
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Belhaven Blazer football, and we're going to go down to the field with Chris Wright, your play-by-play announcer, and down to the field and Chris Wright.
Hey, very good afternoon to you all from Tyler, Texas, on the campus of Chapel Hill High School. It's the Texas College Steers versus your Belhaven Blazers. And a very good afternoon to you all. Chris Wright here along with Chris Saxton, my producer / color man. And we are just moments away from the kickoff of the Hal Mummy era and the kickoff of the 2014 Blazers football season. On to kick deep is Aaron Washington. He's the tight end for Texas, or for Texas College. Back deep to receive. And we'll do the very best we can with these numbers as it's white numerals on white jerseys. So we'll do the best we can with that. I believe that is Mickey Forrester back to receive, and deep to receive is Casey Atkins for Belhaven. Well, Belhaven has lots of expectations this year. They have a new head coach in Hal Mummy. They have a new offense called the Air Raid, and they have an aggressive defense that's going to like to blitz, like to put a lot of pressure on the quarterback. It is hot. It is sunny, which is good. The weather forecast said it was going to be raining. It is beautiful. Very warm but beautiful weather here in Texas, and we are about ready to kick things off for the 2014 Blazer season. Atkins puts toe to ball down the middle of the field. It's caught at the 20 to 25 to 30, finding some room now, brought down about the 35-yard line. And I'll see if I can't find out what that number was. Again, a little difficult to see what the numbers are on the Blazers jerseys, but a nice return and excellent starting field position for Belhaven as they'll start things off at their own 36-yard line. So Belhaven will have the ball, and they come out with two wides to the far side, one to the near, a tight end, and it's going to be a handoff. That's a handoff to the 30, finds room to run the 35 and tripped down at the 40. That was Casey Atkins on the give.
You know, I think they're going to surprise us here. We expect them to come out throwing the ball. The first thing they do is a running play, but it should be a great day for the Blazers.
That may be the only running play we see all day as quarterback Connor Preston makes his way out of the shotgun once again, looking to pass, feels some pressure in his face. Now he's going to go downfield. It's going to be juggled and caught. And are they going to say he was out of bounds? They're going to say, yep, it is a good catch at the 35-yard line. A big pass play out to Darian Thompson, the sophomore, makes the catch right along the sideline. Looked like he bobbled it for a moment, but a big play for the Blazers on their second play from scrimmage. And Belhaven now in plus territory at the 35-yard line of Texas College. Preston drops back the pass, feels some pressure, lofts it up. Nobody in the area, and a flag comes out on the field. And it's going to be a pass interference call as Rama Warnieri, cornerback, got a great big handful of jersey and receiver of Darian Thomas. So a big penalty, going to be probably a 15-yard march off. And the Blazers are moving down the field with some alacrity so far. So a big 15-yard penalty on the third play. And just like that, the Blazers find themselves almost into the red zone. Preston out of the shotgun, two backs beside him, going to hand it off, looking for some room to run to the near side. Finds it to the 25, to the 20, breaks free to the 10. He's at the 5, and he's going to be wrestled down about the 3-yard line. That was Aaron Spikes. And Spikes comes in as one of the backs and finds a lot of running room to the near side, able to bowl his way down all the way inside the 5-yard line down to the 4. So the Blazers now have it first and goal at the 4-yard line, and 2 running plays out of the first 4 plays. Kind of a shocking development so far. Everybody in tight now with 2 backs in the backfield. Sends a man in motion. Preston looking to throw, still looking. Now has a man wide open. Touchdown, Belhaven. That's a Blazers touchdown. And it was a pass to Greg Livingston, one of the leading receivers and one of the senior leaders of this ball club. And so it's a Livingston touchdown as Preston goes 2 for 2 on the drive, aided by a good run and a beautifully wide open pass. And the Blazers now looking to add the extra point. And we're waiting to see. There's the snap. The kick is up, and it is a fake. Quarterback's going to throw, and it's caught for the 2-point conversion. That was backup quarterback Mickey Forster, Forster, who is the holder. He's the freshman backup quarterback, and I don't know if that was a called 2-point conversion or not, but whatever it was, it is a 2-point conversion, and with 13:40 left in the first quarter, the Blazers have jumped out to a 8-0 lead. That series was 4 plays. It started at the Blazers' 36-yard line. So 4 plays, 64 yards. And a touchdown for Belhaven right off the bat. So not a bad start to the 2014 season.
No, and I think it's a great start for him, but also I think they used a little bit of both pass, did it run a couple of times, so it's more than just every play they're passing. But that was a great 2-point conversion for him.
Really nice 2-point conversion as Curtis Westerfield makes his way out to kick this one off from the 35-yard line. And looks like Philip Collier is deep to receive along with Bradford Lewis. And there's the kick. It's off the side of his foot, going to roll and probably roll out of bounds. That's going to be an illegal procedure penalty. Not a very good kick at all from Westerfield. Perhaps some of those first game of the year jitters as he maybe tried to get a little bit too much into that one. So we'll have the penalty. I believe the ball will be marked at the 35-yard line after that illegal procedure penalty. Still waiting on the officials to work it out. Now, of course, the new head coach for Texas College, Rodney Blackshear, has the option of declining this penalty and making the Blazers take making the Blazers send it back 5 yards and kick it again. It doesn't look like that's what they're going to do. So it's going to be 1st and 10 for the Blazers. For the Steers, the officials trying to work out exactly where the ball should be. They're going to start things off on their own 35-yard line. And under center, it'll be Cortez Griffin, and he'll have Edward Burns beside him with 2 wideouts to the near side. Now third goes in motion. There's the snap. Quick pressure right at the middle. Whistles everywhere. They had the play set up, but it's going to be an illegal procedure penalty against the Steers, and that'll bring up first down and 15. So not the kind of start that Coach Blackshear wanted for to begin his career. This is his first collegiate head coaching assignment. Was just hired in August and has had to put this program back together. Griffin now out of the shotgun. Has Burns beside him. Man in motion. Going to read the run, hand it to Burns. Burns is wrapped up and dropped for a loss. A couple of penalty flags as looked like Gregory Gore got the initial penetration and made the initial play, but also may have got a handful of face mask. And so a penalty-filled start to this Steers drive. We got a personal foul face mask on the Blazers. And so that's going to go against Belhaven. They're going to march it off 15 yards. It'll be a first down. And we still have not officially run a play for the Steers offense. And we've run 9 seconds off the clock in the last 10 minutes. 2 wideouts to either side. Griffin out of the shotgun, Burns beside him. Gets the snap, looking to throw. Quick slant is behind the receiver and dropped, incomplete. Not dropped, it was low and behind. Terrence Carr was the intended receiver. That pass was going to be a very difficult reception. And that's what we see a lot of the Steers, and that's what Belhaven is prepared for. Lots of outside receiver coming inside on a slant, inside receiver going out on an out route or going up the field. And so that'll be something the Blazer defensive secondary is going to have to handle all day long. Griffin and Burns in the backfield once again. 2 receivers to either side. Sends a man in motion. Quick motion. Going to be a fake handoff. Now running the option. There's the pitch. There's the big hit and a tackle. Nice play that time by number 18, Brennan Dunklin. He's listed as a defensive back, but he plays one of those strong safety positions in this 3-3-5 setup and makes a fine play to bring down the pitch man. That was Bradford Lewis, I believe, on the pitch. And that's what we're going to see a lot of here on third down. A lot of option, a lot of quick passing. The Blazers with a 5-man front, 3 down linemen, 2 linebackers. Another bad snap, pressure up the middle. Once again, the pass is almost caught and then dropped. The intended receiver, Greg Owens, unable to hang on to that ball. Maybe heard some footsteps. That ball was batted away from the intended receiver, and that'll bring up fourth down. So, Chris, not the type of start the Steers were looking for, but if you're a Blazers fan, exactly what you're looking for.
Well, and it was a test. You wanted to see what the defense can do. We know Blazers have got a powerful offense, but can that defense stop team? And then after that series, you would say yes, they can.
Good start for the Blazer defensive unit as they get off the field after a couple of penalties. There's the snap on the punt. It is off the side of his foot. Not a good punt at all. Bounces at the 40. Takes a big Steers roll, however, and rolls all the way down inside the 20, down to about the 16 or 17-yard line. So the Blazers will have poor field position as they come out for their second series. Their starting quarterback is Connor Preston. Preston, a transfer this year, a redshirt junior transfer from the Southern Methodist University, SMU, here in Texas. And he very excited to be a Blazers football player. I'm very excited to be in Jackson. I had a chance to chat with him a bit earlier on the field. Really excited about this season. He's got this year, next year, and then it's off to wherever he is led to go. So he stands in the shotgun with nobody in the backfield, has one man in the wing. Looks over the formation, takes a snap, quick swing pass outside, a broken tackle, another broken tackle, a nice play that time. And that was Greg Livingston once again as he's able to pick up 11 yards on the first play. Didn't really look like there was a whole lot there, but Livingston broke a couple of arm tackles and was able to find his way across the 25 and across the first down marker. So that'll be a first down for the Blazers. And we'll bring up 1st and 10 with the ball resting just shy of the 30-yard line. 2 receivers to either side as Preston takes the snap, drops back to pass, quick slant over the middle. It's Livingston once again. Livingston to the 40, Livingston to the 45 to the 50, and he's rolled out of bounds. Another tremendously good offensive play as they brought Livingston just across on a short in route, but he's able to find lots of running room in that man defense and is across midfield. And the Hal Mummy offense looking good so far as Connor Preston pulling all the right triggers, pushing all the right buttons. Now 3 receivers to the near side as Preston calls for the ball, drops back to pass, looking to throw, swings it out to his back. It's caught at the 50, down to the 45, and out of bounds just shy of the 40-yard line. And we'll see if we can't get that young man's name or number. Looks like don't think it's Chris Smith. Let's go with Kadero Edley, a running back, senior running back. So it's Edley, and that's another feature of this air raid offense. You send the back out into the flat, and if nothing's there, you can just swing it out to him. He's usually unaccounted for. Interesting set by the Steers. We'll mention in a second as Preston drops back to pass. Now he's going to go down and sacked at the 50-yard line. There was a flag on the play, so we'll see what the flag is. And we're still waiting on the flag as the Steers were able to crowd the line of scrimmage. They had all 11 men up in the box, and the Blazers were unable to account for all of the rushers. But it looks like an offside penalty against the Steers, and so that'll be a 5-yard march off, wipe out the sack, and give the Blazers a first down. So interesting with everyone, all of the Steer defenders within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage, daring Preston to go deep. There's a man in motion and whistles again. And it looks like we're going to have we've got a clock issue, and that's going to be why the whistles blew. And as a head coach, Chris, I imagine you hate it when you start a play, you sort of show your hand, here's what's going to happen, and then they blow the whistle and blow it all dead.
Yeah, hate it. And I was looking, the clock is just looked like it hasn't been running. They're resetting it now. 11 minutes, 20 seconds is what it has. It did have 12 minutes. But, yeah, it just hurts the momentum. But I think they'll recover quickly. So here we go.
All right, Preston sends a man in motion, drops back to pass, wants to throw a little quick screen or swing pass. It is caught and brought down. Another penalty on the play. That was Casey Akins, the running back who caught the swing pass, was unable to find any room. We're going to have another penalty. I think that's going to go against the Blazers. Looked like it was in that area of holding or perhaps a block in the back. And that was would have gone as a running play and not a pass play because it was behind the receiver or the quarterback. But it's going to be a penalty on the Blazers. An illegal block, I believe, and so we'll step back again. A little bit of a choppy start here as there were 3 or 4 penalties on the second drive, the first Steers drive, and now we've had a couple of penalties here early on. First game of the year, you're always going to have those types of jitters and those types of mistakes. 2 receivers to either side. Now Preston in the backfield. He's going to take the snap, look to throw, still looking, inside screen pass to the receiver. Receiver's got some room to run. He breaks a tackle and is brought down about the 30-yard line. And we'll see if we can get that young man's number. I believe that may be Livingston once again. He seems to be that was Livingston, and so he a favored receiver so far for Connor Preston. 2nd and 3 now for the Blazers as they are once again in Steers territory. It's going to be a handoff right up the middle. Akins with the run, slips down and is brought down. And we're going to change that to Kadero Edley on the carry. So Edley unable to convert the second down. Now it's going to be 3rd down and about 5. And Connor Preston looking for the right solution, and still everybody up in the box, everybody at the line of scrimmage. Preston drops back to pass. Quick slant is behind the receiver and incomplete. And that'll bring up 4th down. I really think, Chris, as we've got a break here for just a moment, I think it's going to be important for Hal Mummy at some point to send somebody deep on a post to try and loosen up the safeties in this formation.
Well, I think so. They've been able to stop them here. You know, we looked at that first drive, and they basically just marched down the field. So if they just don't have more penalties, but, yeah, they've got to open this up, get that defense spread right at the moment they're all up by the line.
And another penalty marker, we're going to have an illegal motion or a false start. So that's